Okay, here we go. Welcome everybody to tonight's talk on kids nutrition. As I mentioned earlier, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jenn J. I'm an advanced holistic nutritionist. I have a true belief in the healing power of food. My 17-year-long health struggle and hormone imbalance has led me to a vegan plant-based lifestyle where I have actually experienced internal healing and reduction of my symptoms just through food and lifestyle choices. And that journey has inspired me to help women take back control of their hormones and their lives. As a mom, I understand that if it's not easy for me to do it with my whole family, it's not easy to do at all. So taking back control really involves a whole family aspect while focusing on symptomatic relief for women from hormone imbalances and or any other health struggles they may be experiencing. But I also really like to focus on long-term lifestyle solutions. I don't look at fads. I don't believe in a quick fix. Truthfully, we didn't start to experience our symptoms overnight. We didn't get unhealthy overnight. And so getting back to a place of health is not going to happen overnight either. Health is a journey. It is not a destination. And that means that every day we are being intentional and committing to the choices that support good health. So all of my solutions and programs that I have in place are focused specifically on that and creating habits rather than restrictions that will help you sustain a long-term lifestyle of health. Okay, so we're here to talk about kids nutrition tonight. So let's backtrack a little bit and say, like, what exactly is healthy eating for children? We kind of know what it's not, right? We know that it's not giving them candy and chocolate bars at all hours of the day. We know that it's not letting them have chips, as an afternoon snack. We know that it's not giving them ice cream in place of a meal. But what is it really then? If it's not these things, what is it? Well, it's really four kind of simple concepts. It's eating the right quantity and the right balance of foods. It's eating at regular intervals throughout the day. It's eating a varied diet, meaning that you're not feeding the same foods over and over consistently with your child. You're offering a wide variety of fruits and vegetables and clean protein sources and whole grains and really healthy fat sources. And it's also limiting the foods that may be high in added sugars, fats, and salts. And these are the types of foods that would generally contain higher levels of empty calories or nutritionally deficit or nutritionally void calories that would fill your children's stomachs, but not necessarily fuel their bodies and their health. So for a child, actually for anybody really, this image is taken directly from Canada's Food Guide, which was updated in 2019 to reflect the importance of fruits and vegetables in our diet and to reevaluate how we put together our plates for our children, for ourselves, how we design the concept of our meal even. So as you can see here, the plate is half fruits and vegetables. You can see that there are a lot of colors on the plate, a lot of greens and oranges, reds, blues, yellows, and every color in between that really is like fruits and vegetables literally do range from white to as dark as they come. So, and that's really where we want to be focusing the majority of our efforts when we're putting together a meal, is that right now in our, our standard diets or our unconscious thinking of food is that we create a meal or a snack based around either a protein or around a carbohydrate. So, maybe we're having, if you were to put together a meal plan for a week or to write down what you've eaten for the week, you would probably say you had pasta with, let's assume you had pasta with, say, pasta with sauteed spinach. Instead, if you were thinking in terms of creating your plate first based around fruits and vegetables, you would have several servings of sauteed spinach with maybe just a small serving of pasta. So just the mindset that we have around our food is really important, and identifying the visual aspect of our plate so that we are creating our plate based on the fruit and vegetable, and then supplementing around that with our healthy proteins and our healthy grains and our healthy fat sources, that is when we know that children are going to get a variety of healthy foods every day. They're going to be exposed to a variety of healthy foods. For those of you who don't know, if you have picky eaters, which we all do at times, some of them are more picky than others. Sometimes they go through phases. Sometimes they consistently stay picky. But in general, it takes a child 7 exposures to one type of food in its same format in order for them to attempt to try it. So what does that mean? If you presented raw broccoli cut up into little bite-sized pieces 7 times, only on the 7th try would your child attempt to try it. I mean, your child may be more adventurous and they may actually eat it sooner than that. But that's just in its raw form in small chopped pieces, okay? If you decided to grate the broccoli and serve it raw that way, it may take another 7 exposures for your child to try it or to like it. And so the importance with, kids' nutrition and having children eat a varied diet is that we have to continually expose them to, sorry, a little distraction there, to the same foods in the same way multiple times before they're willing to try it. And then of course, once your child enjoys that food or does like eating it, then you could look at maybe doing a sauteed broccoli or lightly steamed broccoli and see if they actually eat that. And again, do 7 times exposure. And so when we're building our plate like this, it's colorful, it's fun, it's more enjoyable to eat it when it looks so much like when it just looks so beautiful. So that's why I really, really love this plate, because it doesn't focus on how many servings of a certain type of food your child should be eating. However, there are, of course, important levels of that as well, which if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer for you. And actually, if you have any questions at any time during this presentation, you're welcome to just leave it in the chat box. You can also see I'm really curious to hear your struggles and your challenges with your children's nutrition at the moment. So please feel free to leave that in the chat box. Yeah, so leave any questions you have in the chat box. And this plate, like I said, okay, so it's really great for just being able to visualize how you're assembling your child's plate as opposed to worrying about how many servings of a certain type of food they're getting. So if you're always making sure that your fruits and vegetables are equal serving portions of your proteins and your grains, then you know that your children are getting a good variety of food. So why is healthy eating really important for children? We know that children are growing. We know that it's important for them to have good food, but what does it mean beyond that? I mean, we all know we should be eating healthy, but how is it affecting our children specifically when we are ensuring they're eating in a healthy way? So of course we know healthy eating reduces the risk of illnesses and disease. Our body is not designed to be sick. It's actually a very perfect internal system where it works incredibly well at balancing itself out. However, it does require the appropriate fuel to do that. So when we don't have the appropriate fuel inside of our body, we get an imbalance and we are more likely to be at risk for illnesses and diseases, okay? But healthy eating as young children also sets the tone for future eating habits. So ensuring that your children right from the get-go are developing healthy eating habits is going to ensure that they become, teenagers who have healthy eating habits, who become young adults, college students who have healthy eating habits, and who grow up to be adults and parents who have healthy eating habits, and that cycle continues. But healthy eating is also impacting children's learning, memory, and academic performance. And I really felt I had to throw that in there because we are 1 month away from school starting back up, no matter what that looks like for you right now, whether you are sending your children to the brick and mortar school, whether you are keeping them home to do a homeschooling modified version, or whether you're doing a combination of the two. The fact of the matter is education starts again in 1 month, and your children need to be nutritionally enriched in order to give them their best opportunity at an improved learning environment, at greater memory capacity, and at academic performance. But healthy eating is also improving their physical performance and their behaviors and temper tantrums. Okay, so oftentimes children who are not eating healthy foods or who are not eating on a healthy schedule, they are more likely to have inappropriate behaviors or temper tantrums because of the blood sugar fluctuations and the hormone levels that are changing within their body on an hourly basis. And then, of course, we have an improved energy level. We have improved sleep. Children spend anywhere between 30 to 60% of their day or of their 24-hour period sleeping. And that really depends on the age of the child. And in fact, infants are even more than that. But sleep is so important for our children's development, for their body growth, for reducing risk of illness and disease, for improving, kind of circle back to each other where it's one influences the other, but you can't have one without the other one. And so that's where healthy eating really comes to the center of it all and just reinforces that aspect that when we start to give good fuel inside of our children's bodies, we start to see all these other aspects improve, just playing off of each other. And again, an improved focus. So here are a couple of ways that we can develop healthy habits in our children, okay? So number one, we should be engaging in frequent conversations about food with our children. Having the conversations about why a certain food may be healthy, why a certain food may be not. And even like if you don't know why a certain food is healthy, say you are serving sauteed spinach for supper. Nobody at the table likes it, but you're doing it anyways. And everybody says, well, why do we have to eat it? And you say, I don't know, because I know I'm supposed to. It doesn't really give an internal reinforcement of making a positive choice. So, I mean, we pretty much all sit at a table with these, right? And I know a lot of us try not to. But basically, we have something like this within our fingertips at a moment's notice, pretty much any time of the day. So if you don't know something that you're trying to teach your children, this is a great opportunity for you to learn it too. And having that conversation and having that involved learning experience is going to reinforce that healthy habit in your children. But you want to also encourage your children to talk about how they're feeling. So if they do seem emotional that day, or they're off, or it's like 4:30 and the kids are just really whiny and cranky and they just can't seem to calm down, most likely it's because they're hungry. It's getting close to supper time. Their afternoon snack has worn off. Their day is winding down. Talk to them about that rather than just getting frustrated about their emotion and maybe like switching on that angry parent mode. Encourage your children to actually talk about how they're feeling. You can recognize their emotion and you can tell them about it so they can understand it. I know right now my 4-year-old, specifically around 4:30, she does get a little bit, she gets crankier, she gets whinier. It as a mom, it drives me crazy. I'm not going to lie. It's I'm sure there's not a parent on here who would disagree with me when it's just really frustrating when your child is emotional. But this is a great time to have that conversation. And I can say to her, you know what, I recognize it's almost supper time. You're getting really hungry. You've had a really busy day. You're probably feeling a little tired. Isn't that right? And have that conversation and allow your child to identify how they're feeling. This is going to help them internalize their emotions and regulate them so that they can identify appropriate responses, meaning we're hungry. Okay, so we have only 30 minutes until supper's ready. What can we do for 30 minutes that can pass that time while we wait for supper? Oh, we can help mom with supper? That's a great idea. And you know what? This is the best time to actually introduce new foods, because if your child is hungry while they're helping you make supper and you're busy chopping up a bunch of vegetables or fruits or whatever it is you're doing, your kids are going to start picking all the food off your chopping board as you make it. So don't be worried that your child's going to fill up on this food because it's already supper. You're just kind of extending the experience of supper as opposed to it just being at the table. It's now also in the kitchen as you make food. So as I mentioned earlier, offering a variety of food is really important. but also in a variety of different ways. Because it does take children on average 7 exposures to enjoy a certain food or to try a food, you want to make sure that you are exposing them to a variety of formats of the food. So instead of just apples, you can do applesauce. Instead of a fresh salad, you can do spinach in a smoothie or kale in the smoothie. Just changing it up, and even changing the shape can be incredibly encouraging for your children to try a new food. So instead of doing carrot discs, you could do carrot sticks. Or if you're feeling adventurous, grab yourself a couple of cookie cutters from the dollar store and have your children actually punch out shapes out of their food so they're more likely to eat it. I do this one with my daughter. It's great. She loves it. Offer a second serving of vegetables rather than carbohydrates if your child is hungry. Let's face it, most kids don't like eating a lot of vegetables. They'll do it and they'll tolerate, and they have their favorites, and then they have ones that they're not so fond of. But offering more vegetables rather than carbohydrates ensures that your children are going to get the micronutrients and the antioxidants that they require in order to be healthy. Encouraging your children to participate. This is a really, really great one. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, inviting your child to make supper with you when they're feeling hungry is a great way to get them to participate. But also, depending on the age of your children, you can also have them help you put together a grocery list or a meal plan for the week. You can have them help you do the grocery shopping, wash the produce, put it away. You can have them, depending on their age, they can even start, chopping some of the food for your meals and snacks. They can start assembling the foods. They can start cooking it. So encouraging them in that entire process gives them a little bit more control and independence in the process, because basically, let's face it, right? Children spend most of their time being told what to do, when to do it, why they can do it, why they can't do it, who they can go be with, what happens in their day. They're basically their entire structure of daytime is dictated by the adults in their life. So you can imagine where there'd be a bit of a power struggle with your children, particularly when you get to the table, when they can discover that they have the independence to actually, say no and actually not eat if they don't want to eat it. And apart from force feeding your children, which I never recommend, they do have the upper hand in that. So really encouraging your child to participate gives them that independence and puts less pressure on them to feel like they have to oblige with you, as opposed to being a willing participant. Okay. Serve appropriate serving sizes as well. Okay. This is a really big one. We live in a supersized world. Okay. And I think a lot of us have a misconception of what a healthy serving size is, but basically I want you to just put your 2 fists together like this. This is the size of your personal stomach. That's it. That is really small. Now imagine the size of your children's stomach when they have their 2 fists together. That is really tiny. So you want to make sure that your children are not eating huge portions of food, because they're not either, well, for one, they'll be overeating. They won't be hungry for their next meal, which means they're not going to get a good variety of food throughout the day. And it's just encouraging them to eat more than what is a healthy, like what is actually healthy for them. But make healthy eating convenient as well. Okay. So, having chopped fruits and vegetables in the fridge that are easy to grab and go with a couple of dips and sauces is a really great way to have it convenient. If you don't have time to do meal prepping, or you don't have time to, chop a bunch of veggies and make snacks, you can definitely buy trays of pre-chopped vegetables or salads that'll help make that more convenient for you as you transition into having healthier habits in the home. By all means, whatever means helps you create that convenience while focusing on whole food. So you want to stay away from the packaged aisles and focus more on foods that are likely to spoil within 5 to 7 days of you bringing it home. Eating together as a family. This is a really, really, really big suggestion. And process in developing healthy habits in our children, because when you're eating together as a family, this is when you are having these conversations about food. This is when your children are talking about how they're feeling and how their day went. And when you've got a variety of food on the table and you are eating it and you're not making yucky faces and you're not saying how gross it is, and instead you're appreciating your food and you're complimenting the person who made it. And this is modeling healthy eating habits that your children will learn. I mean, our children watch everything that we do. So really, these healthy habits have to start with you. Stock healthy foods, okay? I cannot stress how important this one is. If you have unhealthy foods in the house, you will turn to them. So stock more healthy foods than you do unhealthy ones. It's fine to have a small treat cupboard in your kitchen, but make sure everybody in your family understands that is exactly what that is. It's a treat cupboard. It is something that is enjoyed as a family once in a while on a special occasion, and not in replacing or replacement of a healthy option. So not in replacing a healthy snack or a healthy meal, but as an addition to after the fact. Introduce healthy eating early. This is for some, if you have young infants right now or you are pregnant, this is a really great suggestion. If you are already a couple years into the road, or you're 10 years down the road, you've got children already in their teens, the sooner you start, the better. So yes, your children may already be eating unhealthy or may not have the best healthy habits, but it's not too late to start. Every day is a new day, and every day gets you closer to developing healthy habits as soon as you begin to start them. And enjoy the odd treat, right? So it's really not about restriction. If you do have a very restricted healthy living lifestyle, it's just not sustainable. You will feel like you're making sacrifices. You won't enjoy the things that you normally do, and instead you're more likely to binge on treats that you would normally not enjoy. And that also, of course, sets that tone for your children as well, where if they feel they're always restricted as they age, they're more likely to binge on treats and unhealthy habits. And then my last kind of tip for developing a healthy habit in children is just offering fresh fruit for dessert. So I know in my house, after we have supper, we always offer a little bit of fruit for dessert, and it really just helps, please that internal desire that we have for something sweet, while ensuring that we're not, eating foods that are unhealthy or developing an unhealthy habit. Because truthfully, you don't want to be eating sweets in the evening before bed. You don't want to be giving them to your children 30, 60 minutes before they're going to wind down and head off to bed for the night. If you are going to be enjoying an odd treat, I actually recommend it just after your lunch. That'll give several hours in the afternoon to burn off those unnecessary calories and that excess sugar. Although you may end up with a little bit of sugar crash mid-afternoon, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But enjoying it earlier in the day is going to help develop a healthy habit so that your children have good sleep habits as well in the evening. Okay. Now, what about my picky eaters, right? You're probably thinking, okay, Jen, this is great, but I already have a picky eater. Now, what do I do? Okay. So we're going to work our way from left to right on this screen, okay? Always keep a routine. Okay, so if you have picky eaters, try not to let them snack in between your snacks and meal times. Just keep the routine of consistency. When your children have that healthy level of appetite, they're more likely to eat something nutritious that you provide to them, as opposed to if you allow your child to snack between, say, mid-morning snack and lunchtime because they refuse their mid-morning snack. Then they're going to fill up and they're not going to actually want to try anything for at lunchtime because they're already full from a snack you provided like too close to that mealtime, right? So keeping a routine is going to help provide that consistency where your children are going to be at a healthy level of appetite to try the food. So feeding your children every 2 to 3 hours is a really, really great suggestion to keep blood sugar levels stabilized so that they don't have a crash and they're less likely to be cranky and moody and irritable, all while still being moderately and having a healthy appetite to try new food. and be patient. So, oh my goodness, sorry, there's people driving by. Be patient with your children. Food experiences should never be negative at the table for your children. It should always be a positive experience. So just be patient. Don't force your children to try something they don't like. Instead, offer your children choices and independence. And you can do that by saying, we have 3 types of vegetables that we're having for supper tonight. I would like you to choose 2. Tonight you're going to choose 2 out of those 3, and encourage them to try those 2. So maybe one of those 2 that they've chosen is something they've never had before. So I would just say to them, say they try it and they're like, oh, I really don't like it. And I would say, well, you know what? I would really like if you tried it 2 more times, take 2 more bites. And if you still don't like it, that's okay. Just leave it on the plate. But I would like you to finish the rest of your meal because I know that you like that. And then just reinforce that positive behavior that they did try it and that they were courageous and that they were brave and that they were making good, healthy choices. And removing distractions from the table can really help your children focus better on their food. So, taking away the cell phones and the tablets and the TV. And even if there's a lot of noise or loud music playing in the house, just removing those distractions can give your child a calmer peace of mind to focus on their meals. So those are some of the always things that I recommend. Here are some things that I recommend on a sometimes basis, having frequent conversations about our food. So this isn't every time you're sitting down, you need to be talking about food. This isn't every time you're going grocery shopping. It's just when the opportunity arises, when your children are asking questions or when they are talking about foods they don't like, you can ask them, what don't you like about it? Is it the taste? Is it the color? Is it the texture? Is it the way your belly feels after you eat it? These are all things that influence how and why our children do or don't like food. And so understanding what the root cause exactly of that dislike is can help you identify ways around it. So maybe your children don't like eating fresh salad. They don't like the texture of a leafy green. And a lot of young kids really don't. But you could easily blend up a ton of leafy greens into a smoothie that they enjoy, and then they'd never have that texture issue, but they'd still be consuming good, healthy choices. And getting your children involved is another one we talked about earlier, is just making sure that they have that choice and that independence and giving them the opportunity to make decisions and have a say in what's going on. So, asking them to, say you're making the meal plan and your child is 5 or 6 and they probably only, at that age, they probably only have maybe half a dozen of meals that they truly, truly love, right? Well, tell them, okay, on Wednesday nights, you get to pick the meal. What do you want for supper this week on Wednesday night? And then they get to choose that meal. And then, you can say, okay, so for that meal, we're going to need this, 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 and this. You want to help me make it? So get them really involved in that process. Keep it light and make it fun, right? Healthy eating should never be like I said, a negative experience. It should really just be about reinforcing positive behaviors and offering smaller portions of disliked foods or even foods that they enjoy when there are other foods that they don't on the table or on the plate. Okay, offering these smaller portions can also help your child not feel overwhelmed about the food on their plate. I know oftentimes when I give my daughter a plate of food, if there's too much food on the plate, she's actually overwhelmed about how much to eat or what to eat, and she'll sit there for much longer than is necessary while not actually eating. And so I find if I portion it out again and I readjust the portions on her plate to appropriate sizes, she can easily clear off her plate and is not actually picky about what's on it. So identifying smaller portions on your plate and on your child's plate can help them feel less overwhelmed and less like there's a huge commitment to what they're doing. These are my recommendations. Never do this with your picky eaters. Never force your child to eat. They will eat when they're hungry. Just continue to offer healthy foods. Never make a special meal for your eater. Okay. Now I know you're probably thinking, oh, Jen, I already do that. What do I do now? Okay. So if you are already making separate or special meals for your picky eater, I want you to start talking to your picky eater about healthy foods, and doing the things on the list in the always and the sometimes. And when you start to incorporate that on a daily basis, on a regular basis, into your lifestyle with your children, you'll actually find that you'll be able to reduce the number of separate meals that you're making for your picky eater. And then never allow your child to fill up between meals or snacks. So if your eating period for your children is 7 a.m., 9:30 a.m., noon hour, don't let them eat in between those times, because they will fill up and then they're not going to be adventurous to try their next meal. Same thing in the afternoon, 12, 2:30, 5 p.m. Avoid feeding your children in between those scheduled times. They just won't be up for trying other food. Okay. Now, overcoming the power struggles. This is one that I know that a lot of parents are struggling with, and it happens, right? Like, it does happen, and it gets frustrating that, we make all this food and we give it to our child, and then they're like, I don't want to eat it. And so you're like, okay, don't. And then 20 minutes later, Mom, I'm hungry. And it's like, well, you should have eaten what I gave you. And unfortunately, it's either that situation or it's, at the table, you're not leaving the table until you've eaten your food, that sort of thing, right? So the power struggles are really a negative experience for you and your child. They're hurtful, they're stressful, and they're really unnecessary. So just focusing back on positivity and reinforcing the positive behaviors and the expectations that we want on our children can help to reduce the power struggles over time. I mean, your power struggles did not develop overnight. This is a combined effect of continuous habits that have been allowed to develop or have not been curbed with healthier alternatives. So it won't happen overnight where the power struggles just stop. But as you begin to incorporate some of these suggestions and these habits, you'll notice the power struggles become less and less. So number one, reward bravery. So if the children have food on their plate that that they don't like, give them a really big high five or a great big congratulations if they've tried just one big spoonful of it. Tell them, like, I know you really didn't like that, but I'm really proud of you for trying it because it's really healthy for you, and this is why. Revise your expectations. Don't expect your children to finish everything that's on the plate, especially if it's food that that they don't like. Try offering, if there's one food specifically in your meal that the children don't like, try giving them a smaller portion of that food and just making up for those nutrients in other food on the plate. So revise your expectations and understand that they're probably not going to finish the whole meal that you've given them, particularly if there are, components of it that they don't like. But having the expectation of understanding that, they're not going to finish it, but you would be pretty satisfied if they gave it a really good try, right? Wouldn't you say, like, you'd be pretty proud of your child if knowing they didn't like a certain food, if they had 1 or 2 bites of it, even though they didn't like it. So revise your own personal expectations. And when your expectations are revised, your energy is actually different when you're at the table, and your energy with your children and their eating habits become different as well. And continue to present unfavorable options with a plate of desirable food. So offer food that your child will like, so that that they're not going to go hungry, but offer those other things that are sometimes a bit bigger, like a bigger struggle. Encourage healthy choices in other lifestyle factors. When we begin to reinforce and encourage healthy choices in sleeping and exercise and water intake and mood regulation, emotion regulation, our children become more in tune and internalize what's going on within their body, and that gives them the power and the education and the inspiration to be a little bit more daring and try new things. And then a couple of my really favorite ways. So participate in the Start Strong Kids Challenge. This is a really great ebook with healthy living challenges, basically for children of all ages. It's so fantastic. Basically, it's a chart for different ages with a whole list of random healthy living habits that you can encourage your children to do. And basically they just, they check off each one that they've completed. They get a certificate when they're done. It's a lot of fun that you can actually do in your own home with your kids. And you can actually do it alongside of them. If you're interested in that, actually just leave me a comment here and I will give you the link so you can download that for free. It's just an ebook, but it's totally, totally worth it. It's so much fun. And then the other way to really help you, bring in really good kids nutrition and healthy habits is to participate in the family health study with Juice Plus. Okay. So the family health study is actually the largest children's study in the world. And what's happening here is you can see here, parents are reporting that by their children participating in the family health study, 60% of children are missing fewer days of school. 56% are taking less over-the-counter medications. 71% of kids were drinking more water. 71% were consuming less fast foods and soft drinks. And this one's really big. 61% were eating more fruits and vegetables. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine how easy it could be to just what would your life look like with your children if 61% of your struggles went away with fruits and vegetables? Could you imagine? So how do you participate? It's easy. You add whole food, plant-based nutrition to your own personal diet from over 30 fruits, vegetables, berries, grains, and oils, okay? When you participate, your children get it for free, okay? So you get 30 fruits and vegetables, berries, grains, and oils, okay? And your children, I'm repeating this again, get the same for free. So children aged 4 to 18 or in post-secondary education can have chewables in this adorable little gummy format or in capsule form, the veggie blend and the fruit blend for 4 years for free, okay? As long as the adult has an order, that child is free. That is amazing, okay? And that is the Healthy Starts program. That is the Healthy Starts program. So your children are getting more fruits and vegetables. And we already showed participating in the family health study means that, your children are eating more fruits and vegetables. They're visiting the doctor less. They're drinking more water. They're missing less days of school. These are all really important aspects to families and kids' nutrition. Now, another way you can do that right now actually is a really great time to actually join the Healthy Starts or the family health study, because right now, the company is actually giving away a free bag of protein powder for every family that enrolls. So if you've got 2 children, you would actually get 2 bags of free protein powder. And this is one of my favorite protein powders personally as a plant-based nutritionist, because it is gluten and dairy free. It is plant-based. So it's vegan. There's no animal products in it. And the biggest thing though is that it is a low glycemic load, meaning that it is safe for people with diabetes. It is even safe for children because everything in it is just plant-based. It's safe for nursing and pregnant moms. And the prebiotic fiber in it means that you are building a healthy gut inside you and your children. So this here shows you, so just basically it's a 2-for-1 plus 1 bonus when you enroll in the Healthy Starts for Families, okay? So it is your order for you as an adult, a free order for your children, and a free bag of protein powder, which is an incredible, incredible opportunity. But what does that mean for you as a parent, right? You're probably wondering. Because we talked earlier about how healthy living really does start with you, because you need to be modeling the good behavior and the good habits and the healthy habits that you want your children to develop. So that's where the shred comes in, okay? This is an incredible healthy living lifestyle based on 10 core concepts of adding 5 positive, influential aspects to your life and reducing and or eliminating 5 other ones that are causing harm and inflammation within your body. And people who are participating in the shred find that they are actually craving more fruits and vegetables. They have a healthier weight. They have improved sleep and increased energy, improved mental clarity. Imagine what this means to you as a parent, having the energy to keep up with your children, having good sleep, even though your children may be up during the night or keeping you up during the night, you're actually waking up feeling rested and having mental clarity so that you are not bogged down during the day and you have what it takes to get through your day as an amazing parent, okay? Now, the Shred offers a ton of support. There is the Shred Guide Living ebook, which has success tips and education, healthcare professional recommendations. There are recipes. There is also a recipe book. Actually, there are several. I'm doing meal plans in there as well. And there are exercise videos. There are live workout sessions. We have a private Facebook support group where you are getting encouragement and accountability and having fun. And we're really making it a family focused environment. Okay. So the Shred is a family friendly, healthy living lifestyle. So I encourage you to think really, this is what the prices look like in Canada here to join the Shred, okay, or to join the healthy starts for families, okay. So for just a couple of dollars a day, you and your child would be participating in building healthy habits and developing that lifestyle where your children are not just, getting the nutrition that they need at a cellular level, but also developing habits that they're going to need for a lifetime, okay? So for just a few dollars a day. So I ask you, where would you see yourself getting started? Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to jump over here and